Welcome back to the Road to 1 Million podcast. Today I'm with Daniel and Kevin, owners at the Detail Tech, right outside of Chicago in the northwest suburbs. Daniel and Kevin are going to talk to us about how they became partners, how they started their detailing business, and how they grew from $130,000 in sales in 2024 to around $500,000 in 2025. So today we're going to be talking about some of their secrets to success and some of the things that they're looking forward to in 2026. Hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget, you can use the timestamps in the description if you'd like to skip ahead. And without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, today I'm with Daniel and Kevin, owner of the Detail Tech in the northwest Chicago suburbs. What city exactly are you guys in?
Crystal Lake.
Crystal Lake.
Yep.
Okay.
McHenry County.
And these the county?
Yeah.
In these big cities, man, it's always like, what do I say? Do I say, and maybe you guys struggle with that too, like, do you service Chicago or do you service like the smaller, suburb city of it?
A little bit of both, honestly, because, if you say Chicago's huge, and there's so many of us in Chicago. There's cars for pretty much everybody, but we like to kind of hit that target audience like of Chicagoland area, but at the same time really focus of our own hometown of Crystal Lake and McHenry County area, and that brings in a lot of customers as well. It's just wordplay can kind of get things a little confusing. If just Chicago is, there's so many of us in Chicago.
I like saying Chicago suburbs. It's easier instead of saying, because everyone knows Chicago. So if you're not from somewhere, like if I'm in Colorado and I say like I'm from Chicago suburbs, they kind of understand instead of saying like Crystal Lake.
But if someone lives in Chicago or in Crystal Lake, then saying Crystal Lake probably makes more sense.
100%.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, I think you bring up a good point too, and it's that I think a lot of people that are just getting started, they want to focus on like the biggest city close to them, and I think that it makes a lot of sense to actually focus on the smaller city like that you are in and really tailor to that. Would you agree with that?
I would definitely. When I very first started, I never really tailored to Chicago. Like, I never said, hey, we service all of Chicago. It was mainly just the hometown of where I was getting, servicing friends, family, neighbors, things like that. And so that everybody in that radius of our town knows who we are and goes to Detail Tech. But it's hard to get that type of coverage and get that type of trust from a radius as big as Chicago.
Yeah. How big is the city, Crystal Lake? How big is the population?
Oh, man.
Might be wrong, but I think it's 250,000.
No.
Is it way less?
Let me check, actually. I don't know the answer to that. Let me check that.
I've looked it up before, but I look up all like the small towns around us, like Lake in the Hills, Crystal Lake, Algonquin, and I really...
It's about 40,000 people.
Okay.
We try to stay more like McHenry County area, because then that's the actual county that we live in, so it's more, targeting a bigger audience, I'd say.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, tell me, how'd you guys get started doing detailing, and when did you guys start?
Yeah, so basically it started out of I started doing it out of my garage when I was 20, I believe. Just doing it out of my parents' garage, doing easy things, interior details, basic exterior washes, and did that for about 4 or 5 months before I even considered moving into bigger services and higher margin jobs like ceramic coatings and things like that. But it's kind of funny, it got so big to the point where the city of Lake in the Hills, where I live, which is just outside of Crystal Lake, they kicked me out and said I couldn't do business there anymore because it got so big. There's cars coming in and out all the time. But I think that's just the push I needed to go out and get a shop on my own, because if that never happened, who knows how long I would still be at that garage just doing that amount of volume. So that was a good push to get me out of the house, go get my first shop, and then eventually finally run into Kevin, who is friends with a buddy I used to work at a different company for. And he did vinyl wrap all over the United States. So we noticed that our businesses kind of correlated with each other, and that the same customer for vinyl wrap is also the same type of customer that you would get for detailing, and they kind of correlate with each other. And we figured it would just be easier to merge our two businesses and our two strengths to make one big, overall goal and service both of those things.
To go a little more in depth, we actually met at the gym. He was like talking about he wanted his car wrapped, and we were like, yeah, let's work something out. And technically, he had a smaller shop 2 buildings down from where we are now. I think it was 1,500 square foot.
Yeah, 15. Yeah.
So he was like, hey, how about this? Like, you wrap my car, and then I'll let you, work out of the shop for about, I think it was like 3-4 months for free. So for me, it was a good opportunity because I was doing a lot of commercial work as like a full-time job, and then I wanted to more do like, my own jobs while, off of that work, go home, come back to the shop, actually do my own stuff. So I wrapped this car for free, started doing, jobs, and that's when we started like talking about either like merging or partnering or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. What year was that?
That was 2022.
Okay. So you guys merged in 2022.
Actually, 23. Yeah, it was the end of 2022. So I would say 2023, we finally merged, made things kind of working together, but we didn't officially actually become business partners until 2024.
Okay, got it. And Kevin, did you have quite a built up like book of business at that point? Like, were you staying pretty busy?
I would say, from personal side, I'm not like crazy busy, but I was still bringing in, like, I'm still working full time. Like, I was still working Monday through Friday doing like the commercial vinyl stuff for like kind of subcontracting, but then bringing in my own clients. I would say a couple a week, nothing like crazy. When it comes to vinyl wrap jobs, they're all like kind of longer jobs. It doesn't take like 2 hours, especially if you want to wrap a whole car. So jobs like that, I would only be able to do one, every couple of days. If it's like a full wrap, it would be like one for like 4 days straight, 5 days straight, just by myself.
Mm-hmm. Do you do any paint protection film now?
One more time?
Do you do any paint protection film now?
Oh yeah, that's our biggest thing right now is paint protection film. So currently at the moment we do paint protection film, vinyl wrap, ceramic coatings, window tints, and of course detailing. But paint protection film is our biggest thing, what brings in the most revenue and has the largest margin.
Does Kevin, are you the one installing those?
We used to. For a long time, we used to be the installers. We were the one. We both went to classes. We both did it hands-on for a long time, until it got to a point where we could not physically take on any more work without, because you got to we asked ourselves, okay, how long should we keep installing, but when are we going to have time to actually grow this, and upscale the business? So it kind of got to a point where, okay, if we want to keep upscaling, we need somebody to do our paint protection film. So we luckily found a guy who's extremely talented at what he does. And so his name's Danny, and he does all the PPF for us. And he's currently subcontracted. He just prefers to be that way. And honestly, I prefer it that way as well for the time being, because if there is no paint protection film, for instance, for a couple of days or maybe a week, there's not somebody we have to keep on payroll for that. So it makes it a lot easier where he comes in when we need him, which is honestly at this point every day. But still, he comes in, he does the job, and he does it fantastic. And we really pride ourselves on the way that we do things here, because it's kind of unlike anything. His installs are kind of unlike anything I've ever seen before. All the edges are tucked. I mean, edges that you wouldn't even consider tucking in the first place, like around a headlight or a fog light, or all these really intricate places. He's wrapping, tucking, making sure it's completely invisible, and that's actually boosted our image and what value is brought with Detail Tech, because they know, okay, where'd you get this type of work? It's over at Detail Tech. So it's kind of boosted it and created better sales and made it a lot easier to sell as well. Just showing people the work. If they're in the shop, we can show them, hey, I know you've probably called around a bunch of different shops before, but not only the communication and customer service is going to be great with us, but let me show you the work firsthand. this is what your car can look like. And that's pretty much 9 out of 10 times a sell once they see it.
Was Danny working at another shop before he came to you, or was he just doing his own thing?
He was. He kind of bounced around a couple of times to shops until initially he kind of realized that he was going to be making more money being a subcontractor, and he didn't want to be tied down to a shop. So basically, we put out on a PPF forum on Facebook, like, "Hey, we need an installer. Who would be interested?" And he reached out to us, and he's helped us in the past on one other job, and was like, "Hey, you know what? Let's do it. We'll use you to do some of our work, see how it goes," and then just seeing the work that he can provide automatically was a no-brainer for us to just get him in and start bringing him jobs back to back.
Mm-hmm. What do you pay him percentage-wise?
Percentage would be 30% of each job.
It changes depending. Like full front ends, we kind of have like a flat rate on like full front ends. When it comes to like full bodies, that's when we start getting in like percentages.
Okay. What do you pay a flat rate for the full fronts?
It's $600.
$600. What are you guys charging for that? Somewhere between.
We right now when we're not running any sales, our flat rate is $2,200 for a sedan for a full front end, and then it can go up to $2,500 for a truck, and then could possibly go up from there just depending on how intricate the vehicle is. If it's an older vehicle, if it needs to be hand cut, anything like that.
There's a lot of like gloss black trim in there. Then price starts ranging to be higher. But yeah, for sure.
Do you provide the materials for that?
Yeah.
Material and everything like that is all in house.
Does he have other shops that he works with?
Yeah, he's got a couple other shops. He's got one more in Schaumburg area, which is a little bit closer to Chicago by about 20 minutes. And then he's got another one. I can't remember where that is exactly. But in total, he works with about 3. But I would say he's here about 90% of the time.
Yeah, I'd say about 90% of the time. He's definitely here. He was a lucky find. He's been detailing and working with cars all the way when he lived in Russia for a while, and he moved here, 6 years ago, I believe, but he's been doing it for a long time, just starting out as like a prep guy. So he's been through like prep, ceramic coating, polishing. So he's been through everything before he got to paint protection film, which I feel like is a good skill to have because you've seen it all, you've done it all. So like how the quality should be, how the edges should be prepped, cleaned properly. The whole clay bar and everything, the whole treatment beforehand and the prep is the most important part when it comes to paint protection film. So he mastered that down for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How long has it taken him to do a full front or like a whole car?
That's a
well, yeah. Here's the problem now that we run into is because he's such a perfectionist, he's not efficient. The time is it's probably double what a normal install would take. So he can be working, 12 to 14 hours on a front end, which again, not ideal. I mean, if we want to move in high volume, that is not an ideal time frame. But the end result ends up to be so good, and he is okay with. He also doesn't work normal hours. He'll stay late at night and all the way to like 3 a.m. if he wants to. Because he's kind of on his own. I know, it's crazy.
No, yeah, I think he works more night shift. It feels like he's like here. It's because like the way he just does everything is so like different than everyone else, and he really cares about what he wants to put out there. And especially us, like for me, like I don't care that much about volume if that type of work is going out to our customers because it's definitely one of a kind, and I think customers love it. Like when you could literally go to like the car and be like, we haven't installed anything on this, and they'd be like, oh yeah, it looks the same, and then you're like, actually no, it does have a full front end on it, and it's like, oh shit, like dang,
yeah.
I don't see any seams, I don't see anything.
We kind of give him his own free range. We let him know a date. We let him know like, hey, it needs to be done Monday morning, or it needs to be done Wednesday morning. It's up to him on when he gets it done. So if he slacks off, if it needs to be done Wednesday and he slacks off on Tuesday morning, he knows he's got to stay late Tuesday afternoon to get it done.
Yeah. I mean, I think the hardest thing about working with contractors like that, one of them, and I know you guys don't have this problem with Danny, but are they actually going to care about the work like an owner would, and take pride in it, so that they are doing a good job. And that's amazing that Danny is. But I think a lot of those guys, because they're not talking to the customer, that they don't care quite as much,
Which makes sense, yeah.
I would 100% agree, because it's not their customer, it's not their business. It's just basically, they're there to do a job, and then they do the job. Fortunately, for us, for every contractor we've found, they care about their work. We've never had a problem with a contractor in that sense, because they know if they don't do a good job, we're just not going to hire them again for more work, and they want the work to keep coming in. So fortunately, we haven't had that problem, but I can definitely see that being an issue for some companies, and that it's our name on the work, but you did it. You were the one that installed it, so they don't have as much risk to it. But I can see that being a definite issue.
Yeah, and another hard part is the scheduling. I've heard from several guys. It's nice when 90% of his income is coming from you guys, so I'm sure that he has most of his calendar carved out for you. But was it always like that? Like when you first started working with him, was it less? Was it harder to get him on days that your customers wanted?
Actually, as far as I can remember, he's been pretty open to when we need him. So pretty much whenever we need something done, like, hey, next week we got a full front, or in 2 weeks we got a full body. It's pretty much whenever as long as we tell him a good amount ahead of time, he's open and he's there for it. I mean, if I were to be like, hey, Danny, tomorrow there's a full body coming in on a 19 whatever, a difficult install, he's like, yeah, I don't know. But even then, I've seen him pull off some crazy stuff. So he's been pretty good schedule-wise. I've never had that issue. I have with our window tint installer, though, for sure.
Is he a contractor?
Yes, but we are slowly moving to switching from a contractor to an employee for like W-2 for window tint, just because it makes more sense that way for us.
Definitely made more sense. Originally, we knew how to do vinyl wrap, we knew how to detail and polish and all that. So when we had a tinter, because a lot of the time, new cars come in, they want ceramic coating. They just need 2 front windows done, like an SUV. They have tempered glass in the back. It's nice to have a tint guy in house just so we could get it all done in one house for the customer. And we were pretty lucky with the tint guy too. He's been doing it for 14 years, and he cared about all the work that left our shop as well. So we've never had like terrible like work coming out of here when it comes with subcontractors. I think we've been pretty lucky, I'd say.
So are you going to move him, the same guy, from a 1099 to a W-2?
We're gonna be switching to probably hiring one of our current guys who wants to learn how to tint. Like, we are going to first go and learn ourselves, because tint's the only film skill that we don't yet know. We know pretty much everything else, everything from paint correction to vinyl wrap to PPF, ceramics, all that we've completely mastered. But window tint, we haven't really had to dabble in it because we just kind of started offering it. So we're going to fully train ourselves first and make sure that we are the ones that we can then master it and then train other people. That's kind of our goal and our game plan right now, is after we train ourselves, we can get an employee that really wants to level up in the company and make more money. And that really will put the time and effort into doing it as well. Teach them and show them how to do it, and let them kind of pave the way for themselves in their career of this industry.
Man, you guys are going to get humbled real quick when you move from a contractor to a employee, learning how to do all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. No, I'd say our contractor, we're pretty personal with him as well, so he understands the whole game plan as well. And, he kind of has his own business, so how it kind of runs right now is he brings his own, sometimes he has his own customers, so he brings his customers in the shop, and then he does our work as well. And it's been like that for, 2 years? Year and a half, yeah. 2 years. So he kind of understands that we want to move towards more of like an employee doing the work instead of a subcontractor, just because, more profit, more hands-on for us with the work. So we're pretty good at communication with that whole thing.
That's good. Yeah, window tint, it's just and some people I think master it really quick, man, but we've just been in that stage in our business where we just have been humbled by these new services. You master paint correction and coatings, or at least, fairly good. And then you start something new and you're like, man, what the heck,
Oh, 100%.
Well, I feel like for me it would be a little easier than your average Joe, just because I've been vinyl wrapping for like 8 years. So I know the shrinking, I know how stuff like that stuff works. I know I'm not going to be good at it at first, but I feel like I'll pick up a little faster than most guys will. And same with him, he's been doing PPF, so he'll definitely be able to pick it up a little faster than.
It's just a very different film, and it works completely different. It's not forgiving at all. It's the least forgiving out of the 3 films. And I mean, vinyl wrap, you can stretch, heat, pull, shrink, whatever. Same with PPF, but window tint, I mean, if you got the slightest hair or slightest little crinkle in the film, I mean, you're going all over again. So it's very unforgiving. So I feel like that's going to be the most tedious and stressful part of it, is learning something that's, when you're used to being able to have a little bit more of a window for things to possibly go wrong, even though those things are different in each category, you really don't have a window, and you don't have a big window in window tinting. It's kind of, it's either you do it right, or you got to restart. Get no contamination.
At least it's cheap.
Yes, much cheaper than PPF for sure.
Yeah, PPF, you mess up a fender, it's like, oh, well, there goes $100, $200. And then when it comes to like actual window tint, it's like, it's not as much.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me, Kevin, I don't know much about vinyl. So, like going from vinyl, and to PPF, like it's a thinner material and it's more like malleable. But is it difficult, like switching between those two? And, I don't know, kind of explain to me, like someone that doesn't know a lot about vinyl, just like what are your big differences?
Big differences is paint protection film is clear, vinyl wrap is not clear. And the thing is, when it comes to contamination, you'll see everything on paint protection film. You have like one little contamination in like vinyl wrap, it's mostly not noticeable, especially I grew up doing like commercial work. So commercial work is definitely completely different than like color changes even. I would say vinyl wrap is more forgiving in the sense of like it's self-healing. So if you do have like a wrinkle, you could self-heal it back to its original state of the film. When it comes to like actually like stretching, pulling, tucking, that's when pullback starts to happen, because if you overheat the film, it wants to kind of go back to its original state. So if it gets hot outside, you just installed something, take it outside for like 2 weeks, some edges might start pulling back just because you needed a lift or you needed to stretch a little more to actually wrap it. And like I said, because vinyl wrap wants to kind of go back to its original form, that's when you start having fingers. But PPF's kind of like the same way. It's just you're more stretching it, so it kind of wants to pull back. But I like vinyl wrap more, I would say. If that answers a little bit of your question, I'd rather do vinyl wrap than paint protection film, for sure. It's just, for me, it's cooler. I see a big difference on a color change, like seeing like a transformation, like from a white car to a blue car. I feel like there's more like, what's the word?
It's kind of more of a wow factor.
Yeah. For sure, than paint protection film.
Yeah, paint protection film, it's like, how can I try to not see that this is here, right?
Yeah. No, you'll see you'll see everything. And like for us, especially when we first started like learning and doing cars, and we started getting decent at it and actually like a lot like giving it to customers, it was like we would be so picky. It's like one little contamination, we'd be freaking out about it all the time. We'd be late at night, 2 a.m., still trying to install a front end because, like, you know, we're just trying to get it perfect. But, you know, nothing's like perfect. Nothing's like 100% perfect, but we're trying to get it to be perfect. So that was like when we first started. It was always funny to look back at it now, but back in the day, it was not funny at all. We were working
we were
so
stressed.
much. Yeah,
that's the learning process, though. I mean, if you're not going through it and you're not learning from your mistakes and just failing over and over again, you're really not learning anything. You can watch as many YouTube videos as you want, but until you're hands-on, you're not really learning much.
Yeah. Looking back, do you guys think, like, as many times as you redid things to try to get it just a little bit more perfect, a little bit less contamination, less work marks, whatever it is, do you think that you would do anything differently?
Honestly, if I could go back to, you know, when we were first learning, I would do a lot of stuff differently. I would. There's a lot of times where when we were learning, we would just scrap film over and over and over again, just trying to make sure that we had, you know, our lines, because this is before a plotter too, so everything's hand cut. So making sure our lines were nice and crisp, making sure that things were getting tucked, and making sure that, you know, everything looked, you know, presentable. So I wish, going back, I wish we did it in a way where we weren't so focused on having it be as perfect as possible, and that we were kind of like, okay, look, this is this is probably our 8th install ever, and then giving customers the option, like, hey, we want to give this to you at a very discounted rate. Let me know what we can do for you. This is what we'll do for you. We're not completely professionals yet, but we will get there. And still being able to make some money doing it that way, rather than charging, you know, well, not what we charge now, obviously. I think back then it was like $1,600 to $1,500 for a full front end. Charging, you know, that money to get kind of a subpar result. I would much rather be completely upfront in the beginning and say, hey, we're not that great yet, but we want to give you a discounted rate. You know, we'll still protect your vehicle, and, you know, show them everything in the beginning. So then that way when they pick up their car, everyone knows what the expectation is. And then we can worry a little bit less and not scrap so much film, just trying to make sure everything's like perfect. But again, kind of going back, there's so much stuff that we wish was different, but that's exactly the learning curve I was kind of talking about before, is until you make those mistakes, you know, now we have the ability to charge what we do now, is because we made those mistakes already. Now we can go back and fix them, perfect them, and give people absolutely perfect, you know, work.
So do you think you were, back then, do you think you were over-promising a little bit and setting an expectation that was maybe ahead of where you guys were?
I would say, in all honesty, I wouldn't, because we were never telling the customer that it would be perfect. Never like now. Like, absolutely. But I think expectations then could have been a little higher on the customer's end, where maybe we could have overpromised a couple of things, but still being transparent, not being like, hey, this is going to look awesome, don't worry, you know, and then give them, you know, crap. No, we never would do that. But I do think that we should have been a little bit more transparent right away and letting them know how many installs we have done before providing work. But again, we still never let anything leave the shop unless we thought we were happy with it. And if the customer wasn't happy with it, we're redoing it every time until they like it.
I don't think we've ever gotten like a bad review from paint protection film. So, and nor in general like a bad review, but in paint protection film, I think because even like back in we've had cars that came to our new shop right now that had a little bit of lifting on like a fender or something from like a year and a half ago, and we'll just replace that whole piece. And especially now that Danny's doing a lot of it, that's no problem. It's replaced completely free. You know, you have warranty with us, like, and they're still happy with it because we've been transparent with them. We want to get it done the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I sometimes wonder on those late nights where you're up until 3 a.m., 2 a.m., whatever, doing the paint protection film installs, you're trying to make something perfect. It's just been, in those long days, I wonder how much growth is really happening there versus like if you would have cut it off at like 10, or
We've
8.
learned that. Yeah.
Well, I feel like it's definitely shaped to who we are now. Like those long nights, that was like every day in the summertime. It was like 2 a.m., 5 a.m. Like I remember we'd be leaving to go home and the sun's already out. So I feel like it's definitely shaped who we are because we just want everything almost perfect, to be honest. Like if I was gonna go to a shop, like if I was in this industry and I wanted to go to a shop, I want someone to treat my car like they would treat their car and as perfect as they could get it to be. So I think that's what we're doing now, and that's why I feel like we've been growing pretty fast because we are trying to make things as perfect as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would. I would say now, going back now, we wouldn't ever stay that late to do anything like that again, just because more mistakes happen after midnight or after like when you're tired. That's when everything goes downhill. More mistakes happen after like 10 p.m. than through the entire day, and you're just gonna burn through so much film, so much money, just trying to, stay there until it's done, rather than just packing it up and going home. Get a fresh mindset tomorrow, redo it again, and that I guess to your question before. I wish I knew that back then. That's something that would completely benefit me then than that we know now. Is knowing when to pack it up and go home and come back with a fresh mindset.
Yeah, like just yesterday, I stayed just a little bit too long. I was pushing it, trying to cut some edges while the film was still wet, and cut through the paint on a certain spot just because it was not being tough to cut. And I think back to like working out, and I've always been really big into weightlifting. And back in like whenever I was in high school or just like early college, and I was like really pushing, especially like leg days, like I would just annihilate my lower half, and I would do squats until failure and then some, and you would hear a lot of the bodybuilders talking about how that's how you build, muscles, and it's true. But now my lower back like pretty much hurts all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like there's a lot of damage that can happen when you try to push things a little bit too far. And so I think that there's a healthy balance in there that we're kind of talking about.
I 100% agree. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you want to push yourself, but you don't want to go too far to where mistakes are made. And that's not only just this industry, but that's anything in life. I mean, like weightlifting or anything else. It's, work hard, but don't completely exhaust yourself.
Yeah. You have to know when to take a break, and then setting the expectations, like you said, up front with where you're at. I think that alleviates a lot of the stress and the need to spend all night doing it.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, definitely. And now we've learned some valuable lessons over the years to make us better and better. And one of the best things is just, and I've heard this from pretty much all the other business owners, even on this podcast, even that I've listened to others, is just be so transparent with the customer. Your work can honestly not even be the best out there, but as long as you're transparent and you're having a good conversation with the customer, they're getting taken care of, they're getting follow-up or update text messages and things like that, they're going to keep coming back to you because they liked working with Daniel and Kevin. They liked working with Joshua. It's like, even though maybe another shop down the street can do it better and maybe a little bit cheaper, they will keep coming back to that person because people sell people. It's the communication, and it's the relationship between customer and the business is what really excels.
Yeah, man, I couldn't agree more. I think that, and also the most important thing you can do with wherever you're at, whether you're 10 years in or whether you're just getting started in a new service, is tell the customer that make sure that they're happy. And if they're not happy, like let them know. If you ever have any troubles, whether it's in a day or in a year from now with your paint protection film or your window tint, give me a call. I will make it right. And whether that's I have to redo it or I have to pay another shop to do it better, we'll make it right. And letting them know that I think is so important.
100%.
Yeah, I agree.
So what has your guys' day to day been like? What are your roles now that you're kind of out of doing a lot of the installs?
So basically, the roles of me and Kevin at the moment are a couple things. Biggest thing is sales, also shop management, making sure things are getting done on time, the right way, checking over jobs before they're leaving, customer to shop relations, making sure that our customers are happy and they're going to keep coming back, and everything looks good. But also, it's just looking in the future and how to excel and how to grow and how to completely keep scaling is what we're really focused on. It's always on the back burner, what we're thinking about 24/7. But the actual in-shop of what I'm doing from when I get into the shop and when I leave, I'd say about 50% of that is like sales.
Mm-hmm. So you're following up with every lead from the website. Do you guys run any ads?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we run Google and Meta ads.
Okay. How long have you guys been doing Google and Meta ads for?
Since last
little over a year. It's been
it's been less than a year.
Oh, has it?
Yeah.
But yeah, we use AdMotive. Well, that's pretty popular in the industry that for running ads and all that. They're great. They've helped us actually completely double revenue.
Triple.
Even triple. It's a complete game changer. So big shout out to them, and also shout out to Elite Auto Care, because I know him from paint protection film training. He put me on to AdMotive, and it's completely changed everything.
Yeah, for sure.
What is what has been the process like with AdMotive? Because I was looking back through your guys' Instagram, and I could tell you guys have gotten a lot more comfortable on camera over the last few months, and you started to put out like a lot more content, which looks great, by the way. Just like showing your faces and talking and stuff like that. And I know it's not easy doing all that content, especially being consistent with it. So good job with that. But how's been the process of your content?
I would say on that point, we kind of decided to go that route. Dan was still doing that type of content, even in his garage. I remember those videos, and even him outside. So he was kind of always, but not as much as we do now. I feel like once we hired our administrator, and she does all our social media, it's easier to record. It's easier for her to edit the stuff, and we kind of come up with the ideas. Sometimes she comes up with the ideas. I think it's nice to see our faces on the social media instead of just seeing this like a car. Not everyone wants to just see pictures of cars. You want to actually interact or like kind of explain like what's going into this job, why is this job getting this, and kind of explaining it from us and recording ourselves.
Yeah.
AdMotive was more. We always for our actual meta ads, we're the ones talking in the meta ads, but they don't really help us on the actual organic side of actually posting, trying to post daily on Instagram and Facebook.
Did you notice that your ads in the beginning, the content itself, was it converting, or did it take a while to figure out those high converting videos?
It takes it, no matter what ad you do, it's going to take a while to convert to anything. Once you launch an ad, it's always got a learning process and a learning curve to it, and it's got to figure itself out through SEO and through all that. So it does take a little bit to convert, but once it does, it generates like crazy. But yeah, no matter what you run, it's going to definitely have a little bit of a delay.
Well, what they're good at, they send us they send us stuff that we do hook videos, and then they edit 6 different videos and they post all of them, and then they see which one's doing the best, and then that's what they start actually pushing out the most of. So it's like a learning curve the first couple weeks to see which video is actually going to do the best, And then once they see like this one's actually getting more engagement, let's go all in on this video.
And do they provide you with like the rough blueprint, the script of kind of what they want the video to look?
Yeah. They provide us with the hook lines, the script. We film everything. We get it to them. They make all the edits, the changes. They test it out. They see what's doing best. They push out whatever's doing the best. And then they also provide things like weekly or bi-weekly reports. Like, hey, this is how many people clicked on it. This is how many converted. This is your how much you're spending on ad spend, and then this is your return on it. So you can even see your ROI on that exact ad and on everything as a total, month to month, week to week, which I thought was really cool because sometimes people and companies, smaller companies especially, get a little afraid of running all these ads because they don't want to spend too much in ad spend. Like, they don't want to spend too much money in advertisement. But then when you see it in front of you and you see, okay, I spent $1,000 right on ad spend, but I made 25. It's not so scary anymore when you're looking at it.
It was Chris DiGiovanni that said on the podcast with me, we were looking at like how much the ceramic coating revenue had increased from 2025 compared to 2024. And we pushed a lot of ceramic coating videos on our social media. And he was like, when you think about per video, how much money each video is generated in increased ceramic coating business, it's, several $100s. And it's, when you put that into perspective, it can kind of justify the time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
When you guys are doing videos, do you guys have like a schedule for your content, or do you have like a day of the week, or are you just kind of, as stuff comes in and you think it'd be worth recording, hey, just grab a camera and record this? Or
a little bit of both, actually. When it comes to the Admotive stuff, we like to have that on a schedule. Like, hey, this day we're going to be filming everything, all the hooks, the main scripts, everything like that for Admotive. All for our own content, it's kind of when something comes in and we're like, hey, this is going to make a good video. Let's film this real quick. That's kind of the day-to-day stuff. Whatever's coming in and we think is going to make good content, then we'll film that. But we're on schedule with the Admotive stuff just to make sure that they get what they need in that time span, and they can do everything that they need to do.
And have you noticed from your customers a pretty good response from like social media content? Like, do you notice a lot of people that come in and say like, oh, I watched your videos?
100%. Yeah.
All the time, actually. A lot of people, they're like, oh, well, it's actually like today we had a truck in here for a while. He actually just picked up and he was like, I just saw my truck in like 3 videos. So like they see the videos, and especially like they're already looking up paint protection film. And even if they're scheduled with us, they're still seeing those ads on Facebook. So every time they actually come in the video, I saw your videos online.
Yeah. I've had it in public where people have walked up to me and said, hey, I've seen your ads on Facebook. Like, I watch your guys' stuff. So I've had it like almost.
I was at the gym.
Yeah. I've had it at the gym. I've had it at, just random places. So it's definitely getting out there in large quantities of people to where they're now are coming up to you and like, hey, I've seen your stuff. But which is kind of cool, honestly. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little cool when that happens.
Yeah, well, it goes to show that it's working,
Yeah.
Especially when you wear I wear the shirt, I wear the shirts 24/7. Like, no matter if I'm at the restaurant or going out with a drink with some friends or just like going out in public, I'm always wearing the shirt. I love repping the shirt, so it's like my go-to fit always.
Yeah. It's cool to have apparel that you feel like you can wear out, kind of wherever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably not like the thing to wear, but I do it anyways because it's like, why not, right?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. You guys said you had an administrator?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have her name's Kaylin, so she's up at the front desk. She does all of our schedule. She takes care of everything going on in the schedule, making sure that they're in on time, following up with anybody that's late to see if they're going to be canceling or not, rescheduling, making sure jobs are started and are in progress and then completed. So she handles all that on the scheduling side, and then also the social media.
Okay, so go ahead, Kevin.
I was gonna say, and just the admin side of things, just if like the stuff that sometimes we don't want to handle, with like Comcast is calling or Verizon's calling or stuff like that. She handles all of that. It's like, oh, can we switch over this, or what's the password for like this if we forgot? Because we have a lot of there's so many softwares and so many things that we have passwords for. So she kind of keeps all that like in structure. So it's nice to have someone like that.
Man, absolutely. Gosh, how many before you had her, like how many like random things like that would just come up, and it just almost ruins your day in a lot of ways.
Because sometimes, like if sales, sales is a big part of your day. It's like sometimes I've been on the phone with the customer for over an hour. Same with him. It's like because like you just want to you want to give them the time of day. So it's nice to have someone replace like the stuff that you kind of don't want to always work on. So we can work on more important stuff actually like on the business.
Yeah. When did you guys hire Kaylin?
No, it was in summertime. Oh yeah, I believe it was July 1st. Yeah, and yes, so yeah, she's been doing all that for us, and then we're still kind of deciding which avenue we want to take next, who we want to bring on next, and what we want to do. But I would like to definitely move into a direction of a sales guy next.
So you guys have Kaylin as the administrator. You have your Danny as the PPF installer, who's a contractor. You've got the window tint guy. It's also a contractor. You two, obviously. And then how many other employees do you have?
We got 3 detailers. Prep guys.
Prep and coating and polishing.
Yeah. I see. And how long have you had those 3 guys for?
Well, one guy, Riley, who's technically our shop manager, but he's got a little bit of a way to go until he's fully shop manager. But he's been with me for a little over a year since we got into this building, and since before me and Kevin were fully partnered up, he's been working for just me, and then our other 2 guys have just been recently added on in the past couple months.
Wow. So you guys have grown a lot in 2025.
Yeah, 2025 was definitely a huge year, for us, most definitely.
Do you know how much revenue you guys brought in 2025?
About $500,000.
That's awesome, dude. And you said you 3x'd, like a lot of those was like 3x from the previous year since you ran ads?
Yeah, since the previous year,
2024.
Since 2024, it's about 5 times more, about 4 to 5 times more.
Dang, you guys did 100,000 in 2024.
Yeah,
and then 2025 you did half.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
We definitely jumped like crazy, yeah. But it was a lot. It was a lot, but it jumped like crazy.
And again, I would 100%, not to toot Admoto's own horn, but they have completely changed the game. And if you're in this industry and you're not using them yet, you got to get on the Admoto train because it changes everything. Obviously, you got to do good work, but it completely changes everything.
Well, we've learned a lot from like doing, from structure in the business, from like checklists on every service that we offer. We've changed so much stuff in the business from just learning the hard way. It's like, sometimes we were so busy because we didn't have Kaylin and we didn't have another guy, so we're too busy working on something else. And then next thing you know, one of our guys kind of misses a couple spots in the detail, and then the customer sees it looks not to our standards, and then that's when we create a checklist system and a whole like structure that will never happen again. It's like 2 people have to sign off on every car, and it's changed the game.
Yeah. So 2 people, you guys have a checklist that,
yes.
What is it, like just all the areas to make sure that you cleaned in every car?
It's exactly that. I mean, it's basically a sheet of paper, and it shows you write down the vehicle, your make and model of the customer, and then you write down the technician that worked on it, and then you're checking. There's all these little check marks like underneath the seats. Okay, that's clean, check. The floor mats, check. The headliner, you're checking all these like cup holders, plastics, basically all these little things that is possible to get overlooked and that has been overlooked in the past. they're checking it and they're making sure all those things have fully been checked off before that car ever leaves our shop. And then if for some reason we get a call like, hey, there's these couple of these spots that are missed, okay, what's your name, what's the car, and then we can know exactly who did that vehicle, and then hopefully train them better in the future to not overlook those areas and just continue to get better. And that is completely, we actually haven't had an unhappy or a complaint or anything since we've implemented that.
Does it, like, pulling two guys off of another job or just making sure that they're actually doing the checklist, has that been challenging to like enforce?
At the beginning, for sure, but now it's just kind of they're getting into a routine of it.
Well, it was longer than 2 months ago when we first enforced it. Now that we have like the two newer guys that we had a couple months ago, they were already almost like Joseph. At least he was already brought in when there was checklists. So like that was the standard already from the jump. For like the guys that were here already, it was like a learning curve for them. It was a lot different because now they have to actually take the time to go through that checklist. But from now on, if we do get more guys, that's the standard. That's how it's going to be. So they're already used to it. They know what they're signing up for.
Yeah. Man, I noticed that it is hard to break old habits, and enforcing things that haven't been in place. It can kind of feel, I think for guys that have been with you, it can almost feel like, why are we having to do this? Like, has something been wrong? And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, there has been maybe a few instances, but ultimately it's just to make sure that the quality is just continuing to be there. And one thing I try to tell everyone too, if you're enforcing anything like that, is it's not just for you, it's for anyone new that comes on too. It's future employees as well.
Yeah.
Well, we also, I think that was when we had Groupon. That ruined, like that was completely our mistake. That we learned from that like crazy. Groupon reached out to us. They're like, hey, we want to offer our services or your services with our app, and we were doing details for like $70, like full interior exteriors for $70, and they were like marking up like $130, which normally we're charging like over $200 for like level 1 in and outs. So that was just a horrible.
It was not
that was horrible.
Back to what you were saying before, is if there's anything we wish again we would do differently. Mm-hmm. Don't ever get into Groupon, ever. At least I'm sure other industries it works well and it's a good revenue stream for your business. But something like this, a service-based business, it's not worth the money. The customers, those aren't the type of customers you want to attract. They always want a deal. They want things cheap, and it can cause lots of problems. And obviously in this industry, what most other people can agree with me is you don't want the cheap customers. You don't want the people that want all the stuff done for as little as possible because they're never going to be happy. It's just, we run into problems.
And even if they do get a new car, most of the time they're just going to go to the cheapest person again, which we're trying to actually build relationships with customers and not only like personally, but actually like doing great quality on the job. So we want customers that are going to stick with us for a very long time. And the Groupon customers were really not that. They're just always, what I've noticed is the cheap, like they want, if you give them a discount, they're going to complain the most. And the people who actually pay full price don't actually complain. That's what I've noticed.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's like, in order for me to feel good about the time that I'm getting ready to spend on your car, I think that this is the price point we need to be at. And it's as simple as that.
Yeah. I don't think we realized how many, and that's usually always our mindset, is we do good work and we want to make sure we're getting paid properly for that work. And I think we didn't realize how much Groupon, how many jobs from Groupon we'd be getting. It just, in my head, I thought, okay, 1 or 2 a month extra, what could it hurt, right? A couple extra bucks from Groupon, we'll get it done fast. it was a lot of jobs from Groupon to where we spent a lot of our time, energy, and resources on doing jobs for customers that don't want to build relationships, that are usually unhappy, and for little money. So it was just all around bad experience. But again, you live and you learn with that.
Yeah. So a customer fills out like a lead form, whether it's on your website or your ad, and one of you two guys call them, right? And then from there, if you book them on the schedule, then is Kaylin like checking them in when they come in? Is she like reaching out to them like a day or two beforehand to make sure that they're still good?
Yeah, so if they're on the schedule already, so Your Able we use Your Able for our scheduling. They automatically send them a text message a day before their appointment to remind them. And they automatically get a text message once their appointment has been booked, showing just a confirmation. So thankfully, we don't really have to worry too much about following up with them beforehand. But once the customer gets into the shop, that's when she's checking them in, grabbing the keys, asking if they need anything from the waiting room, snacks, water, things like that. Just keeping them comfortable and making sure everything's all good. That's usually what her role is once the customer comes in the front door.
Yeah, and then is she checking them out as well?
Yes.
Okay. And does she have to is any part of her checkout process or check-in process setting expectations as far as like, or has most of that stuff been done up front?
So expectation-wise, usually it's always done up front, like especially if we're talking, paint protection film or ceramic coatings and things, is usually Kevin or I have talked to the customer already regarding the service, and they know what to expect, and Kaylin's just grabbing the keys. But most of the time, actually, we're usually there anyway, so they want to talk to the person that they were on the phone with, so we're usually there to talk to them and answer any more questions they might have before we start on their car. But things like detailing, it's kind of the expectations are pretty straightforward. If you read the description in the service and you know exactly what you're getting, you'd expect the car to come back clean and looking good. So it's pretty straightforward when it comes to that. But it's people, you tend to get more questions with coating and tints and PPF more than anything else.
Do you guys have like flat rate prices for detailing?
Yeah.
Do you guys have packages?
Mm-hmm. Yep, we have what's called a level 1 interior and the level 2 interior. Same thing for exterior, and then we also have our level 1 interior and exterior and our level 2 interior and exterior. So all around, basically 6 different packages for detailing. Kind of caters to everybody, whether you want just the outside done, the inside done, or both. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What's the difference between the different levels?
The biggest difference is going to be, exterior-wise, is going to be the full clay bar, an iron decontamination service, along with a quick graphene coating on the exterior. It's just a spray-on, quick, easy-to-do coating. And then interior-wise, the biggest difference is the full carpet and carpet shampoo and extraction, along with the plastic restoration and leather conditioner. Those are the biggest things. The difference between those two, but each car will still, of course, get a full vacuum, wipe down, steam clean, disinfectant, all that, no matter what level you choose. It's just those things like the deep cleaning of the vehicle that some customers will want. That's why we kind of give them an option.
Mm-hmm. What is the price difference between level 1 and level 2?
About $100 difference.
So what does the level 1 start at?
Level 1 will start at, if you want, say, a sedan, the interior and exterior, about $230, and then truck $275. And then if they want the level 2, be about $375.
Yeah.
And most of the time, they'll end up just doing the level 2 because they say they want they want their stains and their carpets done. Well, okay, if you'd like that, you can. We can upsell you on a carpet extraction, but the carpet extraction is about $100, so you might as well do the level 2. And then that's usually where we're able to get customers to go up for that higher package.
Yeah. What about prices on the exterior level 1 versus level 2?
Exterior level 1 is about, depending on if you got a ceramic coating here with us or not. If you didn't, it's about $120, and then the level 2, it's about another $100 more, so $220. But if you've got a ceramic coating with us and you just want to maintain the vehicle, you can get maintenance washes for $45. We'll go over everything. We'll check the ceramic coating. We'll clean the car, make sure you're all good, and then you're on your way. But we do also have what's called the top coat, or like the maintenance for the coating itself, and that's where we're basically just adding that top coat on there. It's usually about a once a year type of service, but getting customers in a routine of coming back ever so often to get that coating taken care of, so they get that option as well.
A lot of the times, though, the coating doesn't need a top coat. Like it could last a lot longer, especially depending on how you maintenance the vehicle. And usually, the people that get the ceramic coating are the ones that care about their car, do the hand washing or touchless washes. So if if it's garage kept, you don't need a top coat every year. Like for sure not. Maybe every 3 years. Yeah,
I hear you. What's your guys' hourly rate like on detailing?
That's now a little. That's hard, I would say, because detailing. We've had instances where a car, a level 2 in and out, takes us 4 hours, which that's usually normally where we're at. So I would say that's about almost $75 an hour, or 75 is something if you're looking at it that way. But sometimes those level 2 in and outs take 6 hours, so it changes. It's depending on car, because one car, we don't really price things by car, by what the car looks like. So one car is kind of clean, and it's a little faster than one car is 3 kids have been living there for 2 years, and it needs a whole revamp. And it's almost, I feel that's what we have to learn at, but that's almost the same price, and it's just taking us a lot longer.
Yeah, how we do it right now is we quote every job based on the condition, and it's nice. It's nice to be able to control it, but at the same time, it's just one more thing to add to the process. Is I've got to come and look at the vehicle. I have to see it, and most people are totally fine with that. Usually, how we do it is we give them a range. We say, based on what you're describing to me, I'm thinking it's going to be within $300 to $400 for the interior. When you get here, we can take a look at it, and we'll let you know before we get started what's the final price. Could be a little bit higher, could be a little bit less, kind of depending on final condition. Most people are totally cool with that, and it does allow us a lot of control over price, which is nice for those times where it's a minivan and there is just Chick-fil-A and cracks and crevices, and there's crayons that have melted in the back cup holder and stickers on the windows, and you're this is going to take 6 hours for the inside. It's nice because you kind of have the ability for those jobs to charge a little bit more for it, but it is one more thing just to be thinking about. And I go back and forth on is the ideal the package thing, or maybe a little bit of a hybrid between the both of them? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that is something we want to implement, but again, to your point of it being just one more step, now you have to, instead of as easy as being hands-free and boom, a customer books online and there you go, now you have a job on Tuesday. So now as you're going back and forth with the customer, and you have to see the condition, and then you have to, you tell them one price, but now after seeing the condition, now you're telling them another price.
Which is a fear factor that they'll be unhappy because now, they came here thinking this price, and now let's say we have to charge them a lot more just depending on the conditions. So it's there's pros and cons to it.
Yeah. Well, we've gotten really good. We've been doing this now for actually since we've been in business, really. And we've gotten really good at estimating price, and we always shoot high. So like now I'm thinking in my head, like, okay, the minimum price needs to be realistically what I think it's going to be. And then that upper range is like what it could be if it's like probably not going to be there, but it could be. And that usually allows us to give a pretty good estimate. And I always have a rough rule in my head that I almost never want to quote the customer the final price at that top of the range. I always want to try to be closer to the bottom. However, there are some instances where you're glad you gave that disclaimer over the phone that, hey, I'm going to have to see it. And you remember, and you get there in person and you're like, hey, do you remember me telling you that I was going to have to see this before I said something final? Yeah, this is a case where this is pretty bad and this is going to take me all day.
Yeah.
So,
and there's always points that we're actively working on every single day in our business, whether it's administrative side to pricing to things in shop. And that's one of the things that I think we're struggling with and that we are currently working on to have better systems in place on properly pricing out details so that they have better profit margins. Because right now it's like, we'll do the details and they're great and all, but the margin's just not there to have it be sustainable long term. I mean, if we're talking about continuing to scale and do things differently and have another year of plus 300%, I mean, it's not going to happen like that. It's not going to happen through details, and it's not on the detail side at least. Yeah. So we are working on that, especially because we are adding mobile into our list of services here soon. We got the van out there getting worked on, ready to hit the streets in spring. So that is a top priority for us to be able to properly quote customers, have good margins on it, and also pay our techs with their, a good pay, to go out there and do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like in 2025, you guys had pretty good margins overall, like for profitability or take home, or was a lot of it reinvestment back into the business?
Oh yeah. I mean, we've reinvested so much back into the business. But that's just because we keep trying to grow and expand and do all these things. Fortunately, though, for the two of us, is we have the ability to reinvest pretty much all of that. We're both currently still living at home. We don't have a wife or kids or anything yet, so we don't have those responsibilities that we need take-home money at the moment. So all of it's just going right back into the business so that we can scale it to a point that maybe in a couple of years we can then now step back, take some more home, but it'll be in a bigger state. It'll be a bigger establishment.
Yeah, dude, I gotta tell you guys that's been hard for me. I feel like, you hear these people that live, paycheck to paycheck, and they keep making more and more money, and yet they don't have anything left, and like somehow they keep increasing their cost of living. And I always look at them and I'm like, how do you guys do that? But then I look at my business and I'm like, man, we're guilty of the same thing. It's like we keep making more and more money, and the take home pay, it's not really going up all that much. I mean, it's fine, but I think that's something that we're also working on in 2026. And I think we have to have a plan, because I can easily see how I can get stuck in that and stay in that trap for forever. Of just keep telling myself I'm investing back into the business, and the top line's growing, but if the bottom line is just staying the same, not that that's not fine, because I think it is fine for maybe a little while, but I think you have to really have a plan and be thinking about that.
100%.
Just being strategic.
I think we're in the same point. We're actually kind of are at the same points where we're thinking like the same thing, but how much longer do we compare ourselves to this? And but I think there's no plan B for us. There's only plan A. It's to just keep growing this business. So just reinvesting everything from how the shop looks to like every single thing, and just reinvesting back in the business like crazy.
There is that fine line though, for sure, where how much, when is it too much to where now you're not doing it for, I mean, what's the point now is, the point where we're doing this, everybody has this business. Sure, it's fun, but really, we need to make money. So when is there a point where, okay, we need to take some home? And that is definitely a struggle for business owners, that you need to know that fine line and that balance to, you need to grow the company, so you need to put more into it, but you also need some for yourself because, you need to be able to get a house or, sustain life for yourself. And again, like I said before, I mean, we're not all in this just because it's fun. I mean, sure, it's fun, but it's not, at the end of the day, everybody's got to get paid. So that is definitely a fine line. That is a struggle, and that I do think about quite often. And actually, it's kind of nice to hear now that other business owners are having that same thought process. Is, it's not just us, because right now we talk about that a lot. So knowing that there are other business owners out there that are having that same thought and that same issue is, it's good to know that everybody's kind of in the same boat in that instance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, man. And there's a lot of like little things that come up throughout the year. You want to buy this, and it's like, well, just go ahead and pay for that. I feel like we need that. And I think that to some extent there's probably a little bit of discipline that we all need to have when it comes to just buying things, whether it's for the shop or ads. It's like, okay, I know we want to keep growing. We want to increase our top line. I know we want that, but like, what's the return really like? Like, what are our margins like on the increase in ad spend? Because if we're just spending more money on ads and the top line's going up, but the profitability isn't, it's like, well, maybe we need to look at something else first. So just having a little bit of discipline there, I think is important.
Sure. Yeah, 100%. I mean, for sure. There's always things that I'm always going in and looking at, the accounts and what needs to get paid and where we need to put money and things like that, and how much we can and can't spend. But of course, there's always stuff that breaks every single day, it feels like, and there's always something else that goes wrong. I mean, and just today, there was water left on our sink in our bathroom that we paid some good money for because we got it replaced to make it look better, and all the wood warped, and now we got to replace that. And our floorboards are coming up from water seeping, and it's always something, but you kind of have to prioritize that at that point, is what's necessary and what can wait. And it's a hard decision sometimes.
Yeah. And that's the trap, is it's like, without those unexpected expenses, it'd be looking a lot better. The margins would be, and then you just price in all the unexpected stuff. And it's like, okay, we need to have a budget, a line item on our budget that's like, what every year, what does the unexpected cost actually come out to be? And let's go ahead and budget that in.
No, definitely. 100%, because it's always something. Always.
It's always something.
Yeah.
Nothing could be just like perfect. Like, I wish it was, but it's not. But like where we're at now, it's like we want to keep growing the business. So there's that fine line, but still at the end of the day, we are trying to grow the mobile division. We're trying to get that, going. So it's not free. So we have to put in a lot of money for that and a lot of time for that too. So I feel like until we just have so many goals that we want to just achieve. So that's why it's like that fine line just kind of goes straight to always just reinvest it.
Yeah. So 2026, you guys are kind of planning on rolling out the mobile unit. It sounds like that's a big plan for next year.
Yeah. So we plan on getting everything launched in March and just hitting the road. But again, obviously we hope for it to do well, but I do sometimes worry about, what the margin looks like there, after the money and gas and paying your techs, and then how much you can really charge for a detail. What does that margin look like, and is it going to be sustainable?
Also, like, we're not the ones going out there. Someone else is our guys are going out there. So it's like we're not seeing it. So it's like we have to. There's a big trust factor in it too. So like not only that's important, but it's also like making sure the same quality is the same on like every car, especially that we're not there.
Yeah. Are you guys planning on just having one tech go out, or are you going to have two in one van?
Yeah.
2 techs at all times. That's what I'm hoping for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that'll be nice for the checklist. They can keep that process in place.
That's the whole idea, is so that they can hold each other accountable and make sure that there's 4 eyes always looking at a vehicle, making sure if one person were to miss something, the other person will pick up on that. But again, only time will tell, is when we first start this, what's actually possible, depending on funds, what's possible to have them go out there. So if it comes to where it only makes sense to have one person out there, and the work is still getting done well and on time, then that's what it'll be. But we're going to test 2. We'll see how that works and just adjust from there.
Yeah. When are you guys kind of planning on like just checking in and making sure the jobs are being done well and the systems are being ran well?
Yeah, so the whole goal behind it is, right now we're doing the build out of the van, and we're learning how the routes are going to go, learning how we're going to advertise everything, and like the structure of everything. And then most importantly, we want to launch in March, but our soft launch is going to be February 16th. And that's when, we're going to be going out doing either, customers that have been with us for a while, or even like family friends cars, just to get like the whole system down, like making sure like everything is to our standards. So like from getting there, greeting the customer, making sure everything's all good, and then once we get the hang of it, that's when we can start training our guys to get the hang of it before we actually do a full launch on like anything.
Okay, so you guys are actually going to go out and do the mobile details together for the first few.
Yeah.
Well, it's like,
okay,
if we don't know how to do it, like I don't expect them to know how to do it, so I want to be all hands on at first, making sure that we know how it's going to run, so then we could train them on like, this is how we want things to be.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's exciting, guys.
It's cool. It's stressful, but it's cool. I'd like to get rid of the detailing in the shop so that we can focus on more high ticket jobs more in the shop, because detailing, it's a messy job. It's you got like crackers all over the place, you got Cheez-Its, like pens, pencils, so especially when you're doing paint protection film and like those like very like jobs that like need to be perfect, like window tints, like you can't really have that. So it'd be nice to eliminate detailing in the shop one day and just have the mobile division do strictly that, and then focus on like the higher end stuff here at the shop.
Yeah, I've heard of a lot of people on the podcast that have kind of talked about trying to keep the higher ticket stuff in shop, save space for those.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, guys, you guys have been really generous with your time, and I appreciate it. This has been awesome. So appreciate you guys coming on and just being so open and sharing some of your story.
Of course, we appreciate you having us on and letting us be a part of it. I've listened to the past like 5 or so podcasts, so it's kind of cool.
Where'd you find us, or the podcast?
I found it just from because, like I said before, I follow Elite Auto Care, because the 2 of us went close to Chicago to Chicago Auto Pros. We did paint protection film class together, and then just followed each other's businesses, and we message each other every now and then, just like checking up and seeing how things are running on both ends, like of our businesses. And I saw he was on the podcast. I was like, no way. So that's kind of how I saw everything.
Kevin's awesome.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
I don't know him personally, but definitely when he always messages him. But he seems like his business is doing really well, and he's definitely got a lot going for himself.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, I appreciate you reaching out again. I'm glad that we could get this done. So would love to have you guys back on at some point too. There's a lot more questions I've got for you. So
yeah, we'd love to.
Cool. Well, guys, best of luck in 2026, and we'll look forward to checking with you guys maybe later this year.
Yeah, you as well. Stay busy.
Thanks.
Hopefully it warms up faster over there.
I know, man. I'm ready for spring for sure.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, man. We appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thank you guys. And thanks everyone for listening.